I've got a message. This meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Perfect. We are likely streaming live on Facebook, and I just can't see our faces yet, so I'm super excited. Hello, everybody. Let's see where we are at here. Just give me a minute to get my bearings. Click to expand.
Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Yep, I see us. We are likely streaming live on Facebook, and I just can't see our faces yet, so I'm super excited. Hello, everybody. Okay, so let's see where we are at. Oh dear. Where did we go? I think I just lost us. Hold on. There we are. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I could not get the YouTube to go, but we got the Facebook Live to work, so this is amazing. Welcome again, Colin. I'm so excited to see you. Let's see, I want to recap. I'm Chastity. We are doing a really fun show. Colin and I came up with a fun name called Love and Chastity, and it is Earth-Based Advocacy for Humanity with Colin Joe Byrne. And Earth-Based Advocacy, we called it that because, well, Colin is a wealth of information, as well as I have some really fun stories and events of my own. And so we kind of work with humanity in different ways, but together as a collective. We work in a really amazing symbiotic relationship. The way that our knowledge comes together has been really fun and exciting. Oh gosh, I feel exhausted just from figuring out this techie stuff. I'm just going crazy for a second. I love it when we get online together, Colin, because I want to just share. This is going to sound a little bit intense, but after I've given birth to 5 children, okay, and after every birth, I have this influx. I have this influx, this surge of energy, and I don't know, I think it's chi, but my whole body vibrates, and like my body vibrates like that when we connect together. And so I love that. Like I get chattery and I'm just filled with this surge of energy, and I'm really excited about it. One of the things that thank you. So thank you. One of the things I wanted to recap from last week, as we talked about, and you shared mathematical sequences. And so basically that the base 10 math is out the door. You know, something I used to put my head down and cry about all the time in math class was trying to understand math. It never made sense to me. It makes sense because we're not in an organic system, right? So we're in a 3-6-9 system.
Yeah.
And then we were able to, once we start to comprehend and understand this, Colin, it sounds like we can then understand the Merkabic body, right? Or the unity fields, and learn how the light body works, which connects us into our DNA, right? And so we've got a male and a female, so that's RNA and DNA, and that's how I'm not as technical as you are, but that's how it works, right? Like we've got the counterclockwise female spin, the clockwise male spin, and then that's how we travel interdimensionally. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, it's universal. Any body of mass or physicality, the spins that is magnetic spins counterclockwise, and any physical matter that is electrical spins clockwise. So that's kind of how it works. Because if you look at our galaxy, photographs of the galaxy, you see the galaxy, it's always going anti-clockwise. So it's a feminine energy.
Isn't that beautiful? And who knew that that different
Like the Earth spins anti-clockwise as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm picturing planets. So sometimes you guys, I get a little it looks like I'm a little spaced out, but I'm actually receiving information. So, forgive my pauses. But so what they're showing me is they're showing me that different planets have different spins, and so that means that some planets are female. Earth is more female, right? Or it, and then other planets are going to have different spins who that maybe have that masculine base
Yeah.
structure. Okay.
Yeah. In a normal solar system, planets are meant to spin counter to each other. So you'll have one spinning anti-clockwise, next one spins clockwise. That
Mhm.
means that magnetic energy from the first planet gets transferred to the electric energy of the next planet, goes out and then goes into the next planet, which is circulating anti-clockwise. And so it's meant that's how the planet, a normal planetary system is supposed to work. So that the energy goes from the sun or the star system that they're in and goes from, into the electric, the magnetic field of the first planet goes out into the electric field, connects with the electric field of the next planet. And so there's supposed to be this transfer of energy from the sun to all the planets in the solar system. But our solar system has been so messed up that it doesn't work that way.
I love that.
Because everything's supposed to be in a north-south polarity, but the Earth is 23.4 degrees off its north and magnetic north plane. So it's kind of in a frequency wobble, if I can put it that way.
So I
And,
heard.
and some planets actually have a reverse. Uh, they have the magnetic magnetic north-south have been reversed. So we don't get that natural flow of energy through our solar system.
Is it fair to say that because our true north is off and our spin is off, does that does that automatically create our light bodies and our connection to be off, or do we still have the capability of fixing that?
Yeah, it's we have to fix that ourselves. When I say fix that, we can't fix the Earth spin until we fix our spin.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to learn how this mechanics work and fix the Merkaba field within our own soul bodies.
Yes.
Okay, now our Merkaba fields are basically two counter-rotating pyramids, and one rotates clockwise and the other one rotates anti-clockwise. And that creates an optimum way of drawing energy from the earth and pushing out energy to the earth, because we have that symbiotic relationship with the earth, where the earth also has a Merkaba field. And the earth's Merkaba field is running counter. It's off 23.4 degrees through its rotational field. So we have to align our Merkaba fields with Earth's natural Merkaba field, and that will allow the Earth to, theoretically, that will allow the Earth to move back into its normal rotational spin. But the off spin was created purposefully by the fallen angelics here to, as part of what they call the blank slate technology system, which was a diabolical system to uh, separate Earth and all the other planets in our solar system from the natural order of the way the universe is meant to work. But we're here on this planet, and I've received this information, so I'm telling people how it works, because we do have the power to correct things, and we have the power to fix things. But we have to fix them within ourselves first before we can fix them outside of ourselves, because that's the way, the energy within is replicated outside of us. So whatever energy we hold in our soul bodies is going to be replicated in the earth, the earth, our experience in the hologram of reality that we experience. It affects many things, but we have to do the work within ourselves to fix it. And so, I'm hoping that that's what humans will do.
I'm hoping that's what humans will do. One of the things that's been coming up, I see with a lot of my clients, and kidneys, right? Kidneys are really coming up, and our kidneys hold fear. And there's so much fear on the planet right now. There's so much fear within all of us. And think about the huge filtration system, right, that our kidneys are. So they don't just filter what our bodily fluids and toxins, right? They filter our thoughts, our emotions, and then as we are the microcosm of the macrocosm of the planet and the universe, as we've talked about, right? We're filtering this as well, right? So we're filtering what the planet is currently going through, and that's a lot of fear right now. And so when you talk about healing the self, right? One of that's about healing our heart, right?
Yeah.
And when we heal our heart, other things open up. But the kidneys, the way I see the kidneys are like, they're connected to the heart, right? And so it's kind of that first place where that comes and pushes through. So people are getting lots of heart palpitations right now. People are getting lots of crazy things happening in their body, right? Low back pain, issues with, so much stuff, they don't, they don't understand. So many people don't understand that it's really up to us, and it's up to us to heal our emotions and heal this planetary miasma. And this is going to go back to the fallen angelics that you keep bringing up. A lot of people don't really know who the fallen angelics are, and what they stand for and how that represents us, right? And so we are human. Well, most of us are, right? I know we're all spliced and diced throughout, and kind of all different kinds of pieces. We have different aspects of different beings, but we're here having a human experience, right? So how does I have so much on my mind, I don't even know. Like, I'm going back to, are the fallen angelics different than than us having like our wings cut? Does that make sense? Am I asking that question the right way? How are those? How can we help people understand the difference between that?
Yeah, well, it's a long history, so I won't go into the long history. I'll do the short history. The short history is the fallen angelics came to Earth. They captured the planets. First of all, when they kept knocked the Earth off its 23, off its rotational alignment, they brought in what the humans were told was going to be an asteroid from the asteroid belt to become the moon. But they brought the first moon in, and that was accepted by humans, and it looked good. which is the moon we've got now, but it's an artificial moon. It's an artificial construct. It's not a natural body of you know, it's an AI
Yeah,
intelligence.
like a ship.
It has no Merkaba field. It has no life on the planet. It's a dead body,
Yeah.
and it's not natural. Then they offered to bring in a second moon, and that was an asteroid that actually collided with Earth and pushed Earth off its rotational orbit. This caused a massive effects in the Earth's atmosphere. There was darkness. There was, clouds of dust in the sky. There was electric and magnetic pulses around the Earth. It had a lot of effects. So, it would have knocked out all of our electronics that we have on Earth now if that happened again. But the purpose they were trying to do is to disconnect humans from the natural order of the universe. And so they offset the Earth's rotational spin from its natural Merkaba spin. And then it took them over about another 12,500 years. They began to infiltrate Earth and create and do all kinds of genetic experimentation. So they created dinosaurs and these massive creatures on Earth that couldn't survive here because they were predatory and they were destructive. Mm-hmm. So then they decided what they were going to do is to create another asteroid event that would not as big as the first one, but that created a massive mass extinction event where all the life on the planet basically died. After they did the first event, many humans went into caves and into the underground, into the honeycomb of Earth, and they're still there today. The Algonquins, and there are many other tribes like the Algonquins inside the planet Earth. And so they, after the second event, then they introduced a species there called the Nephilim. And the Nephilim what they did was they introduced a species to try and make humans bigger than they were, because humans were quite small in those ancient times. And so they introduced this race of giants who then took, to themselves women and laid with them and had children. And so a species began to grow, which was much bigger and much stronger than the normal earth-being people. But they chose out of those Nephilim 11 bloodline groups. And those 11 bloodline groups were assigned different regions of the planet. But the Nephilim themselves didn't survive because the atmosphere of Earth couldn't accommodate the size of the Nephilim, like it couldn't accommodate the size of the dinosaurs and animals like that. They were just too large. The weight of the atmosphere was going to crush them, so they became extinct. The Nephilim themselves became extinct. They introduced the bloodline into their bloodline into the Earth, which is the RH negative, and to some extent RH positive bloodlines. And these people became the rulers of the Earth. Now, these bloodline families have been ruling here for years, and people think, well, the devil's, some person in the sky. Well, no, news to you, the devil is right here on Earth.
I used to always say, this is, if there's a hell, I would say, this is probably it.
Yeah. So, yeah, this rhesus negative bloodline, Rh negative, is, most of the royal families here have an Rh negative blood. You know, oddly, Donald Trump has a Rh negative blood. But if you trace his genealogy, he's related to the Rh bloodlines of Europe, not so much out of the Scottish. But I think that combination of the Scottish and the Germanic bloodlines that he's got is, I personally don't make any judgment about anybody who's got an Rh negative blood because that is their business. It's not my business to worry about them. What I generally do is look at the actions of the person.
Right.
Their works, you will know them. So I look at people's actions and what they do, and whether it's beneficial or whether it's non-beneficial to humans, and that's how I kind of look at them. But it's just interesting there. If one goes into the satanic practices here on earth as practiced by many of these people, that there's a system that they use, and it's based on secrecy. They don't want to tell people. So, and I had a friend at school who got involved with the satanic cult just soon after we left school. And he pitched up at my house one day, and he was a dear friend at school, and his brother was 2 years younger than him, but he and his brother were very good friends of mine because they lived near the school. We often used to go there after school, to have, peanut butter sandwiches and so on. And so we became dear friends. He got involved through drugs and sex with the satanic cult. He came to me because he'd heard that I'd become at that stage of my life, I was the leader of a youth group, Christian youth group. And he came to me, he wanted me to give him kind of absolution and, to help him to forgive himself and forgive, and for me to forgive him. So, I did that. I forgave him, and we talked for a couple of hours. And he told me that about this whole satanic rituals and the whole practice of the Satanists here in South Africa. And the things he told me kind of shocked me then, and I kind of put it out of my mind until I actually woke up, because, I couldn't actually believe that there were people like that on this earth. But he told me about the practice of drinking blood and, dark spiritual stuff. And after he told me that he had decided to leave because the last ritual he went to, they actually introduced the human baby at the ritual, and they killed it. They cut its throat, and they drained its blood, and they passed the cup around to everyone to drink. And that was too much for him. He couldn't do that, so he left. But they contacted him, and they said they were going to kill him if he didn't, if he told anyone or if he did anything, and if he left the cult. But he left the cult, and 3 weeks later, he was found dead, poisoned.
Oh my God.
These people don't play around.
Oh, no, they don't. They don't mess around. I remember I was a 13-year-old girl, and I had a friend, and same age, and he had shared some stuff with me. And it's hard to think about, he was so vague, right? But he mentioned Satan. He mentioned things that happened that his parents did, and that he had to participate in things he didn't want to participate in. And he didn't give details. He said he wasn't allowed to, but he was really scared. I believed him. And, I was a seer then, as I am now. So I understood. I could feel what he was going through. I could see hoods and sacrifice. He did talk about sacrificing goats, I think. And just crazy stuff. It's not like your typical 13-year-old like conversation, right? And many, many years later, when we were adults, I had bumped into him, and I said, "Hey, um, remember that thing you told me like so long ago? We used to chat about. What did you ever get out of that? Did whatever happened?" And he said, "I can't talk about any of that." And left it at that. But yeah, it's pretty serious. Like you don't go messing around. And you look at so many people coming forward with their stories. They're not stories. Like, you can't make this stuff up. I,
Yeah.
and you can't make it up. And
Well,
yeah.
just look at a guy like Jeffrey Epstein, you know, he gets revealed he's in a US prison and he commits suicide. I mean, if anybody can believe that, you can believe anything.
I know, right? Exactly. If they
Yeah.
believe that, they'll believe anything. And that's mm,
So just saying Maxwell is better in prison than she's out of it, because when she comes out of it, she is going to be gone.
oh,
You
she'll
know.
be gone. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. And so this is also some of the fear that I'm talking about that's out there, as angelic human beings, as just being here on this planet. We're processing that fear too. We're processing their fear. This is the darkest aspects of humanity, and
Yeah.
and these are things we have to process, is what our planet is processing. So we have
Yeah.
to look at it to heal it. We have to see it. And I know so many people are uh, avoidance. They have this avoidance. They don't want to say any of this stuff is happening. They don't want to believe it. They call it, they call it theories, or all these words they like to go toss out there, not even realizing it's these original families and these original groups that come up with the word conspiracy theory, right? Or whatever the case may be. They do it to make those of us who know look a little on the crazy side. And I say, whatever, bring it on, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
like, it. You, I don't know. So
Yeah.
many of us have known it for so long, right? And it's like, for those of us that have been sitting here holding this information, and for the first time ever, like, things are really coming out, like the darkness is really being is really getting a lot of light shed on it. And that's because of, excuse me, the energies on our planet changing. That's because our planet is moving, and we're heading back to kind of like proper alignment, is the way that I'm understanding it, right? And
Yeah.
so what's
Yeah.
your
But there's a process that's happening now, and it is a process that's going to happen whether humans agree or don't agree,
right?
because there's a critical mass of humans here that, and that goes back to 1973, when I was told this by my higher selves, that 8% of humans had to have 4.5% of their 4.5% of their DNA activated. And I was told then that we'd reached that critical mass. And once we'd reached that critical mass, then the decision was taken to to try to save the planet. Okay, and so all the processes started, and they just want those 8% or more, if more join, to actually have the opportunity to go through this ascension cycle and to ascend into a higher state of reality. And they're doing all the work on the outside to facilitate it, to make it happen. And by coincidence, the Earth is on its own soul evolutionary journey, and it's due for an ascension. But it needed those 8% of humans to be woken up in order for the Earth to ascend.
Right.
So it's the humans, and that was some time ago, 2003, 17 years ago. Since then, and we've seen it, there's an astronomical exponential growth of people waking up on this planet,
Yeah.
And it's been going on for a long period of time. And as those people wake up, it's a symbiotic relationship. You wake up, you get more of the energy. The more energy you get, the more energy comes in.
Yep. Yep.
So we are facilitating the energy coming in as well as the energy coming in is waking us up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it's working.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fallen ones here are wicked, wicked, wicked beings. And, when I say they're wicked, they don't think they're wicked. That's the sad thing about it. They think they're doing the right thing.
Right.
It's strange. But if you murder other people, that's the right thing if you've got a motivation to murder the other people. So it's cause of substance.
Sorry, I wanted to look at what some people are saying. Bart says, well, how do we fix ourselves? Right? So that's a really great question, Bart. How do we fix ourselves? And well, I think there's a lot of ways to do that. And I think we all have our own ways, but it's like, we're talking about is healing the heart. So that's healing your own life. That's healing your past, present, and future selves, right? We want to heal the now self is kind of the first thing, right? We have to deal with understanding that we have the whole concept of even having parents is false, right? So we have to understand that we need to ask for a manual next time we come down here, right? But understand that we are both mother and father to ourselves, and our soul is our inner child, right? And so our soul has imprints from all these other lifetimes, lifelines, other times on planets, all these other histories, right? And
Yeah.
waking up to that awareness. And Colin brings up the waking up our DNA, right? Like having our strands of DNA. So we have 12 strands of DNA, right? And most of us are barely functioning on 2, right? So in order to get the rest of your junk DNA online, you have a shit ton of work to do, right? And that's looking the darkness in the eyes.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, to answer Bart's question, you have to do the work. When I woke up, I was really in a mess. My life was a mess. I was in a mess. I didn't understand any of the stuff that I was being told. I was taken on these crazy journeys into other planets and things and seeing stuff. And they did it in such a way that each time after the event, I would ask a question. What happened? What was that all about? And they say, go and do research. Go find out. We have to do our own research. We have to do the work within. And, so that's one part of it. The other part of it is to go find those who have the knowledge and participate in it, but question it.
Yeah.
You always have to listen and then question. Listen and question, because the answer all lies within you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to find the answer within you that resonates with you, because nobody out there on this planet, including myself, has all the answers. I have a lot of answers, but they're answers that have come from the work that I did, where I went through that questioning and answering and questioning and answering, and suddenly begin to realize that what we've been told here on this planet is just a whole bunch of lies. The whole system is a lie. It's a lie to try to control us. And so we really have to do hard work, and we have to become warriors, soldiers. We have to be fighters, not fight in the sense of physical fighting, but fighters in the sense of fighting for our own freedoms, for ourselves, the inner man, and to release the inner man from the consciousness of slavery that permeates our planet.
Yeah.
Because most people, their consciousness enslaves them, so they can't free themselves out of a system of slavery because they are enslaved in their minds and their emotions, their condition. So we have to fight against that. We have to recondition ourselves and begin to transform and transmute the nature of our understanding of who and what we are, and to be able to progress into a higher state of consciousness where we support each other, where we recognize that we are all one being, but just different individuated parts of it.
Yeah.
And the universe is like that. It's a construct where you get this massive universe that is one universe. And that one universe belongs to many universes. And in that universe, you have galaxies, and those galaxies have stars, and the stars have planets, and the planets have life forms on it. And it kind of rolls down. It's a fractal. We are all a fractal of the universe. We are part of a fractal. We're not separated. The separation is an illusion.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Where do you come from? Your parents brought you here. So you're not separated from your parents. You're not separated from a genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
Your forefathers. Where did they come from? Who were they? And what did they do? So if we look at our genealogy alone, we'll find that we all probably related to each other.
Exactly. We are all we are all one. And understanding this is, we're in the process of understanding that we're sovereign beings, and it's our job to take that back, right? Ian brings up spiritual bypassing. He says spiritual bypassing. Yes, it's exactly what has been happening, even during this cycle of so many people waking up. They just don't want to do the work, right? People don't know that we have a higher consciousness, so it's completely either denied altogether, or you get into what's called a false ascension matrix, and you live in the astral realm the whole time, and then you think everything's rainbows and unicorns, and and you don't look at the darkness. I even recently just had a longtime friend be like, so long, my friend, you're diving too far down the into the darkness, and you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, wow, that it just it starts triggering people's egos. And if we remember, the ego, as we talked about, I think a couple shows ago, is in the lower harmonic, and in the lower dimensional aspects, 1, 2, and 3. For those of you who work with chakras, you're going to know it's the first, second, and third chakra, right? And this is how they control us and keep us from not seeing the reality of all of us being one. We are all one. It's like you can't. I think of it as muscles, right? I'm do massage therapy, so if I touch somebody's body in one spot, the tissue is going to move throughout the body. It's called tensegrity, right? So you can't, or if you think those baby toys, those round baby toys that are kind of squishy and they look like these ball things, you push it, well, it moves and shifts the whole thing, right? You can't push one side or do one thing without it affecting the other piece. And that's how I imagine consciousness works, right? And that's been actually controlled. And so understanding that we need to take back that control. We need to wake up, we need to do the work, we need to do that ego work, and that means clearing the fear, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, what they've done is they've compartmentalized information. So we have what they call subjects. You have maths, science, history, geography, languages, and uh, physical training, and they compartmentalize it. So they get us thinking that we all these bits of information are not. There's no harmonic way that they can all come together. So we compartmentalize everything. And so we think when something's happening in the sun, there must be something in the sun. Oh, it's a coronal mass ejection, it's ejecting, and then we've got the magnetosphere. And we think of it as out there, and the energy comes into Earth, and we think that it's only affecting the atmosphere. But it's not. It affects everything. What happens in the sun affects us. What happens in Earth affects us. If the Earth's Schumann resonances go up, what do you think happens? Our brain waves start going up. Everything is connected to everything else. And this is going to be very difficult for people to come to terms with, because it was difficult for me to come to understand, that everything is connected to everything else, because waves come from somewhere and they go somewhere. Yep. And everything is a wave. There's light and sound waves, and all those waves are carrying information.
Yes. All of them are carrying information.
Cell phones are waves. They bring waves from a cell phone tower to your cell phone device, and you can hear sounds. You can watch television, or pictures on your phone. What is that? That is light and sound, waves of information. And people don't get it. They think that their device is just a device, it's a physical thing, but it's connected. But all the cell phone towers are all interconnected. And the universe is so much more than that.
It's massive. I want to, D is asking, and I think this is an interesting question too. She says, I heard you say humanity is waking up even if the opposing families don't want us to. Does this change if one of them is in a power position again, such as a president? So interesting how interesting. Yeah, we wake up whether these families want us to or not. We don't have a choice right now, right? Some people I think are going to stay. I think my sense is we're going to have another big push here of some awakening souls, and then it's going to be what it's going to be for a little while. But yeah, we wake up regardless of what the families think or not. But what's your take on that? Does it change if one family? Is it really going to change? Because there's a couple forces fighting for power, right? I really say it's the Satanists versus the Luciferians, but I have seen some changes. I have seen some changes with our presidency, and I didn't expect to, right? But I have been seeing that. What's your take on that, Colin?
Yeah, well, in 2014, soon thereafter, in April 2014, I got a big download of information, which took me months to actually work through. Right. But part of that was that the fallen angelics, the 11 bloodline families here, were at war with each other. They were going to fight. And then I was told later on in 2017 that some of those bloodline families had capitulated, and they had come into an agreement with our soul families and said they were going to try to assist humanity to basically get out of the nonsense they were getting out of. And I think that that capitulation was as a result of Trump getting elected into a position of power where he could actually do something effectively to help humanity, and so he's the other bloodline, because the bloodline families are called the dragon families. You get the white, the red.
Yes, the Kumara dragons. Is it the Kumara dragons? I'm not.
Yeah, and so the white dragons and a faction of the red dragons had agreed to to capitulate and to work together. The white dragons were the Chinese bloodlines, and the group on the red dragon side was the USA faction of the red dragons. And so these two factions got together and they decided to work for the benefit of humanity and help humanity get through this process. Because like I said before, they don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Right.
They are here. They just want to survive. And so they will do anything to survive. So that, if one has that mentality that survival is okay, then anything you do to survive is okay. Whether you kill people and destroy people, doesn't matter.
Oh.
You have consciousness, that's all you want to do is survive. So many of these fallen angelic groups, all they want to do is survive, but they are at war with each other. And I think slowly I can see like the purple dragons now, which are the Asian, the Middle Eastern groups are beginning to cooperate. We had the signing of the peace treaty between Israel and Bahrain and Israel and UAE. And there are factions within the fallen angelic groups that are now saying, okay, the game is up. How this was achieved was when, in 2014, our higher soul families invited certain factions of the militaries around the world, and they gave these militaries a demonstration of their firepower, which is also, you would not believe how powerful their firepower. They can incinerate, vanish. They have invisibility cloaks, so they can cloak whatever they want in invisibility, so you can't even see that they're there. They'll be upon you before you know.
I know that to be fact. I've witnessed things like that myself. So I'm just, yes, I'm totally on page with you on that. But
yeah, but after that, the militaries of the world realize, hang on, we can't win this fight. If it comes to a fight, we can't win it.
Right.
So they began to, advise their governments, look, this is what we're up against. You guys better start stopping the corruption, stop the nonsense you've been up to, because you can't win this fight. And so that's what I think the message is slowly getting through to governments. Like even here in South Africa, our government has been so corrupt for so long, but now we have a new president who has inherited all this corruption. And 2 weeks ago, he said that he wants anybody who's doing business with the government to resign from the party. And of course, this is now the big debate in South Africa amongst the ANC that, they don't want to capitulate.
Right.
But having said that, I think the weight of the new energies coming in, people waking up, because Black people are waking up at an astonishing rate in South Africa. I've been amazed.
I know. I have myself been amazed, and the people that I'm getting like coming in for clients, it's like all of a sudden, just one day, they're like, they see all these things, all these beings, this information comes in, and they're like, what am I supposed to do with this? What is this? What,
Yeah,
and so, like, where do they begin? Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, things are going to change, and hopefully we can all be agents of change and help and facilitate changes. But we don't have to worry about things like violence or anything like that. There are rioters in the States, so I know that riots going on, but people shouldn't get involved in those. They should just stick to their guns and hold to their truths and hold their values in high regard and support those others who have high values. Because in the end, the Bible says, and I agree with this, that resist Satan and he will flee from you. And so that's what we have to do. We just have to resist.
yeah, we just have to resist. Huh. Um, Thank you, Colin. I want to, we, there are so many, there are so many things. Bart brings up again, like, what kind of paths do you recommend? Are there medicines or traditions that can help support not not participating in spiritual bypassing? And I mean, my take on that is it's going to be different for everybody, right? Like you said, your experiences are your experiences. Um, I want to share a story about cloaking in a minute. This is so crazy, but I do want to answer Bart's question. I think it's different for everybody, right? It could be something as simple as um, uh, changing your diet, on, uh, changing habits, recognizing yourself in the now moment, right? Like if you're getting upset with something, they're just these little tiny things. You don't have to take these massive classes, but but choosing a path where you're asking and answering questions, like Colin says, right? Learning to ask yourself good questions and listen for the answer to come in, right? Um,
Yeah.
and by doing that, I mean, I think it's really important to, and this sounds really Pollyanna-ish, but treating your body like a temple, treating your entire self as a temple, as a vehicle, as uh,
As a sacred
taking
being.
care.
Yeah.
Sacred being. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know what other word to use.
Yeah, because each of us is unique in the universe. There are no two identities that are the same in the universe everywhere. Now, you just think about that. Of the many thousands of billions of stars out there, and billions of, different beings out there, you are the only one who has your unique energy signature.
Yeah, just like you're the only one. It's similar to what a fingerprint is, right? Fingerprints are unique, and so uh, I mean that's just on a much smaller scale, but absolutely, you have an energetic signature that that
It's
is
quite
unique for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it changes all the time as well. But the essence of who you are doesn't change, because you are a soul being. All of us are soul beings on a soul evolutionary journey. So when we incarnate with a certain essence. I won't explain what that is now, but it's basically who you really are, not in this moment in time, but who you are as a product of your soul evolutionary journey. And then your experiences of life begin to advance that soul evolutionary journey. So you begin to change here, but the essence of who you've been through many soul evolutionary cycles is not going to change. And that is unique. Everyone has a unique soul signature. Everyone has a unique evolutionary journey. But yeah, it's a sacred thing. And if people can't respect that they are so unique in the universe, and they have a place in the universe, and their place is important because it's like a fabric. You if you weaken the fabric in one area, you weaken the entire fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we have to take our place in the fabric of the universe, into that patchwork that makes up what the universe actually is, and be responsible for that, and hold that responsible. And that's a sacred duty. Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah, it is very hard. It's
It
not
is.
meant to be easy, but that's the nature of evolution. If it
Mm.
was easy, we would be going backwards.
Mm. Exactly. Yeah. I find it very, I found that really dismantling my ego, so my personality self, and was very challenging, right? Um, I had realized there were things that I believed and that weren't even my own, right? It's a construct that I agreed to because everybody agreed to it and I was told to agree to it and I didn't know better. So, I had all these things to take apart. My
Yeah,
ideas on religion and politics and even the way I look, the things that I eat, all the stuff. It's like you have to take it all apart and then you have to recreate it and make it your own. Like make it your own, right? And instead of yes, taking your place in the fabric of the universe instead of uh, what somebody else agrees to, and then in turn you are in accord with what they come up with. So,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, I know we're just a little bit over an hour. Um, I want to share this really fun story before we head out. I know that I want to keep it. Always want to keep it as close to that as possible, but about cloaking. This is so crazy. And I'm going to close with this because I think that we can talk about other life, right? We're already talking about the other bloodlines, right? Which we're essentially, you guys saying the fallen angelics are not human, okay? So that's something we're already discussing. We're talking about the dragon bloodlines. And so, that goes into all different kinds of things. And so I'll share a not earthly experience that happens right here on Earth. I was sleeping one time, trying to sleep, and it was so interesting, Colin. This vibration I could hear coming from far away. It woke me up, and it was like this sound, like whoom, 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 like, you know, and it was pulsating. And I thought, what in the frick is that? And I felt this whole wave of energy go through my entire house. I had shielded my own body, right? Like, so my whole body was protected. This energy literally went through my whole house, not through me. It went around me because I use a 12th dimensional and higher shielding process. But and then I thought, holy crap! And then I could hear it going farther away. And then it was quiet, and I thought, what was that? And then all of a sudden, I heard a wave coming again. And I thought, shit. So I shielded my whole house. I shielded everyone in my house. I shielded my whole house. And I felt it go over the top of the shield. So it didn't actually penetrate through. And I thought, my God, I have what in the world? And this is part of, the more we awaken, right? I like to say that I came partially awakened and that I know some stuff, but you continue to experience new things all the time the more awake you become and realize reality is so interesting, right? So as
Yeah,
it comes through a third time, it stopped over the top of my house. I could feel the vibration. It completely stopped. I thought, what in the world? And it's like it was thinking. I could feel it thinking, like, what is happening? I went downstairs. I was scared as hell. It freaked me out. I went downstairs And I decided to look out the window. I'll make my long story short. There's this little window next to my front door. And I turned, something said, my higher self said, look out the window. I turn and I look. There was a little gray alien standing on my porch, Colin. And I like looked and I looked again, and then all of a sudden it shielded itself. So I wanted to share this because it has shielded technology, and there are so many things we don't see. And I stood there and I said, I can see you still because I can feel, that it was there. So then in my mind's eye, I could see. But um, I thought that was so weird and bizarre. I haven't felt the energy since, but um, I definitely, these are the things people start to see when they wake up. You flip the light on in the closet, and it's like, oh my God, what is that? And then you don't see it again, right? I have so many other stories to share, but yeah, shielded
That's
technology,
a
right?
good story that, yeah.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
we do that. Sometimes we see things and then they disappear immediately. So what's happened is they've changed the frequency of the channel of the holographic
Resonance.
picture you're watching. So
Mm.
they change the frequency, and I experienced that as well, where my higher self explained to me. I said, "Well, they told me that things were happening around me that I couldn't see," and I said, "Well, can you show me?" And then they showed me, and it was like, "Oh my God!" And then they switched it off, and
Yeah.
they said,
Yep.
"We just changed the frequency of your consciousness.
Yeah.
That's all."
Yeah.
You know?
And that's about, when we start doing that inner work, we start doing that inner healing, we see the truth. And so one of the things, I want to say is, always ask to see the truth. Always, always ask to see the truth. And that's how we start to learn how to discern energy signatures. Is this for my highest good? Is this, positive? Is it negative? And then of course not judge that, but observe it, right?
Yeah,
Always ask for the truth.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Because
my goodness.
it's symbiotic. Truth is within you, but it's also without you. It's external to you. So when the truth outside of you resonates with the truth within you, then truth is revealed. You know. So we have to find the truth outside, and that resonates with the truth within, and that reveals the truth. So there's no truth outside of us that is not already inside of us.
Yeah. I love that, and we're going to talk more about that as we
Yeah,
move on, because that goes really deep and goes really deep into each person's psyche and individuality. So thank you for
yeah,
bringing that up.
yeah,
Colin, I just want to say thank you so much. I love our time together, our time shared here, and thank you everybody for listening. Feel free to comment more. I'll pop back in and see what questions I can answer for everybody. We are working towards being live on Facebook at some point too. So go in and like my page and subscribe and hit the little bell. And you'll get messages for either when I post things or when we are able to go live, when that connection actually makes. We haven't made that connection on the techie side yet, but and also check out the writings of Colin Joe Byrne, because they are amazing, and he has really some amazing classes as well that he has spent a lot of time working on. And when we do work like this, whether it be Colin or myself, the work that we do is actually an energetic piece of us, right? So it's a growing body of knowledge and a symbiotic body of knowledge, and in what's the word? Is it a coalescence or of the universe? I'm not sure if I'm using that correctly. It's not my word. I don't speak like that, so it came from somewhere else. But uh, anyway, I just want
great.
to thank you so much. Um, and we are live. We're going to be live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and that's 8 p.m. in South Africa. So thank you, Colin, and I'll see all of you guys so soon. Much love.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Love
Mike.
you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.